You paid for it before you ever stepped on the ship. And then, somewhere around day 2, you paid for it again. A bottle of water at the bar, a breakfast already sitting in the dining room 2 decks down, free. Not because anybody lied to you. Nobody hands you a list of what's already yours. After years of watching this from the crew side of the desk, I started keeping track. 15 of them. Small things, most of them, until you add up what a week of them costs. And there's one on this list most folks don't find out about until the morning they're packing to leave. Tip number 1, the water you bought twice. Let's start with the one nearly everybody does on day 1. The water on a modern ship is desalinated and treated to a standard tighter than most city taps. It comes out of the tap in your cabin and out of the dispensers in the dining room and the buffet, at no charge. The bottle at the bar is that same water with a label and a service charge stacked on top. I watched a couple haul a case of bottled water up the gangway in the heat. 2 doors down, a woman filled a refillable bottle at the buffet station each morning on her way to the pool. Same ship, same water, one of them paid for the label. Your defense, bring a refillable bottle and fill it at the dining room or buffet dispenser. Ask your steward to refill your ice bucket daily. Chilled tap water costs nothing. If you still want bottled, check whether your fare or loyalty tier already includes a case. Magic phrase, could I get the ice bucket refilled each afternoon, please? That one's easy once you see it. Tip number 2, the breakfast that comes to your door. On most major lines, a continental breakfast delivered to your cabin is included in what you already paid. Pastries, fruit, cereal, coffee, juice, ordered on a little card you hang on the door the night before. What costs extra is usually the hot-cooked side of that menu, and even that varies by line. People skip the card entirely, assume room service means a charge, and go queue at the buffet instead. A gentleman I knew filled his out every night and had coffee on his balcony at 7 each morning. He wasn't getting special treatment. He'd read the card. Your defense, find the breakfast door card on day 1 and actually read it. Ask which items are complimentary versus charged on your specific line. Hang it out before bed. The early delivery slots go first. Magic phrase, which items on the room service breakfast card are included in my fare? Breakfast in the cabin is one thing. There's a quieter room for it. Tip number 3, the sit-down meal nobody walks into. The buffet is loud, crowded, and on most mornings it is not your only option. The main dining room serves a sit-down breakfast on most sea days and lunch on many of them. Same fare, table service, someone bringing you coffee, a fraction of the noise. It's included, it just isn't advertised, because the buffet moves more people faster. I sat with a woman who'd cruised 11 times and never once eaten breakfast in the dining room. She'd assumed it was a specialty venue with a cover charge. 11 cruises of standing in a queue for a room that had tables free the whole time. Your defense, check the daily program for main dining room breakfast and lunch hours. Go on sea days especially. That's when it's open and calm. Ask for a table for 2 if you'd rather not be seated with a group. Magic phrase, is the main dining room open for breakfast this morning? Tip number 4, the gym you think is part of the spa. This one costs people real money through a simple misunderstanding. The fitness center and the spa usually share a corridor, and they are not the same product. The gym, the equipment, and most group stretch or walking classes are included in your fare. What's sold separately is the thermal suite, the treatments, and specialty classes. Because they share a door, plenty of guests buy the spa pass assuming the gym is locked behind it. I watched a man buy a week-long spa package because he wanted to use a treadmill. Nothing was stopping him. He'd just turned the wrong way at the door. Your defense, walk into the fitness center on day 1 and confirm what's free before buying anything. Ask specifically which classes carry a charge. Many don't. Buy the thermal pass only if you want the heated loungers and steam rooms. Magic phrase, which parts of the fitness center are included and what needs the spa pass? Most of what's free on board never appears on a menu at all. Tip number 5, the fruit plate nobody orders. This is a small one, and crews find it genuinely odd that guests don't use it. On most lines, you can ask your cabin steward for a bowl of fresh fruit kept topped up all week. It isn't on a menu, and it isn't a perk you earn. It's a standing courtesy on most ships. Same story with extra pillows, a firmer duvet, a laundry bag, or a pillow menu where one exists. A woman I remember asked her steward on day 1 for fruit and an extra blanket. She had both by dinner and a fresh bowl every day after. That's the whole trick. She asked on the right day. Your defense, ask your steward on day 1. That's when it gets set up for the week. Request fruit, pillows, blankets, and a laundry bag in the same conversation. Be specific and be kind. Stewards run 20 cabins and remember the easy ones. Magic phrase, could I have a bowl of fresh fruit kept in the cabin this week? Those are comfort asks. This next one is closer to a necessity. Tip number 6, the kitchen that cooks around you. If you travel with a dietary need, this matters more than anything else on the list. Every major line will accommodate allergies, celiac, diabetic, low sodium, and most modified diets at no extra charge. The catch is timing. It works properly when you notify the line in advance and confirm again at your first dinner. The kitchen flags your table, and often the head waiter walks the next day's order through with you personally. What people do instead is book specialty restaurants all week, believing that's the only place they'll be looked after. A woman told me her sister has a seafood allergy, so they rang the line before boarding. In the dining room, the staff checked which of the 3 sisters it was every single night to be certain. It cost them 1 phone call. Your defense, notify the line's special needs team when you book in writing. Confirm with the head waiter at your first dinner and keep the same table. Order the next day's meal a night ahead when offered. That's when the kitchen has time. Magic phrase, my booking is noted for a dietary requirement. Can we confirm it with the head waiter? Tip number 7, the ice, the fridge, and the things in it. A short one, and it saves an unpleasant line on the final bill. Ice delivered to the cabin is free on essentially every line, twice a day if you ask. The fridge is yours to use. The trap is what's already sitting inside it. On many ships, the minibar items sit on a sensor and simply moving a bottle to make room registers as a purchase. Ask your steward to empty it on day 1 and they'll do it without blinking. I watched a couple shift a few minibar bottles aside to chill their medication. They found the charges on the last morning and spent an hour at guest services undoing it. Same shelf, 2 very different last mornings. Your defense, ask your steward to clear the minibar entirely on day 1. Never rearrange sensor shelf items. Lifting 1 can be enough. Ask for 2 ice deliveries a day if you use it. Magic phrase, could you empty the minibar so I can use the fridge for my own things? Quick question while we're here. Which of these have you been paying for without realizing? Tell me in the comments, I read them, and the free printable version of this whole list is linked right below in the description, worth having in your bag on embarkation day. The back half is where the real money sits because that's where it stops being the same on every ship. Tip number 8, the laundry room that isn't on every ship. This is where knowing your line turns into money. Some ships run self-service launderettes with washers, dryers, and an iron, usually a few dollars a load and included outright on some premium lines. Princess has them fleet-wide. Carnival has them on most ships, but not the newest XL class ones. Mardi Gras, Celebration, and Jubilee have no self-service washers at all. Holland America removed theirs entirely. It's the per-garment bag service or nothing. On a long sailing, that difference is the price of a shore excursion. I remember a couple on a 14-night crossing who packed for 7 and washed midweek for pocket change. Another pair packed for all 14, filled 2 extra cases, and paid excess baggage in both directions. One of them packed half as much and never thought about it again. Your defense, check your specific ship's deck plan for a launderette before you pack. If it has one, pack for roughly half your nights and wash midweek. Look for free laundry on your loyalty tier. Most lines include it higher up. Magic phrase, does this ship have a self-service launderette and which deck is it on? Tip number 9, the tips you may have already paid. This one catches careful, generous people hardest. On several lines, gratuities are built into the fare you already paid, not added daily on board. Regent 7 Seas and Oceania include them for every guest, on every fare. And Virgin Voyages covers them too, with no tipping expected anywhere on board. Where people go wrong is assuming premium always means included. Viking doesn't work that way. As of January this year, it adds $20 per guest per day to your shipboard account. The answer isn't the brand, it's whatever your confirmation says. I sat with a couple who handed out envelopes on the last night, as they always had. Their fare had included gratuities the whole time. They'd paid the week twice and been thanked for it. Your defense? Check your booking confirmation for the words gratuities included before you sail. Ask guest services on day one whether a daily service charge is hitting your account. Tip extra in cash only where you genuinely want to, never out of uncertainty. Magic phrase, are gratuities already included in my fare or being charged daily to my account? The same blind spot shows up at the internet desk. Tip number 10, the Wi-Fi you might already own. Connectivity is one of the biggest single-line items on board, and plenty of people buy it twice. Several premium lines fold it into the fare. Viking includes it fleet-wide with no tiers, and Oceania gives every guest unlimited Starlink. On mainstream lines, it's an add-on, but bundle fares like Princess Plus often already contain it. Loyalty tiers matter here too. Higher tiers on most programs carry free minutes or a discounted package. The mistake is buying at the terminal on day one before checking any of that. A woman I remember bought the top Wi-Fi tier at embarkation out of pure habit. Her fare already included a basic package, and her tier added free minutes on top. She'd bought something she already owned twice over. Your defense? Check your fare inclusions and loyalty tier before you buy anything at the terminal. Ask what your tier already gives you. Free minutes go unclaimed constantly. Buy the smallest package that works. You can usually upgrade mid-cruise, rarely refund. Magic phrase. What internet benefit does my fare and loyalty tier already include? That loyalty tier is worth one more look because it hands out dinners too. Tip number 11, the dinner you've already been given. Specialty dining is the most upsold thing on any ship, and plenty of guests already hold a credit for it. Suite and higher cabin categories frequently include one or more specialty dinners in the fare. Loyalty tiers hand them out as milestone benefits, and they sit unclaimed in your account. Birthdays and anniversaries noted on your booking regularly turn into a complimentary dinner if the restaurant has space. None of that gets volunteered at the podium while you're standing there with your card out. I watched a couple pay for a steakhouse dinner on their anniversary. The credit for exactly that dinner was already attached to their booking. It sat there, unused, the whole week. Your defense? Ask guest services on day one what dining credits are attached to your booking. Put birthdays and anniversaries on the reservation before you sail, not at the desk. Book early. The good nights go in the first 48 hours. Magic phrase, do I have any specialty dining credits on my booking I haven't used? There's a room on the ship that works exactly the same way. Tip number 12, the thermal suite that came with the cabin. On several lines, certain cabin categories include access to the thermal suite or the adults-only solarium. Celebrities' Aqua-class staterooms are the clearest example. Thermal suite access comes with the room, whether that's the Sea Thermal Suite or the Persian Garden depending on the ship. Some loyalty tiers add a complimentary day pass, and most ships run a cheaper embarkation day rate. Guests in those exact cabins routinely buy a pass at the spa desk on day one anyway. A gentleman told me he'd bought a weekly thermal pass on his first afternoon. 2 days later, he learned the spa cabin he'd chosen included it. The desk took his money. It wasn't their job to check. Your defense? Ask what your cabin category includes before you go near the spa desk. Check whether your loyalty tier carries a complimentary pass. If you do buy on embarkation day. That's when it's cheapest. Magic phrase? Does my cabin category include thermal suite access? Tip number 13, the seats you don't need to reserve. Entertainment is included on every mainstream line. What's sold is the seat, not the show. Main theater productions, live music, comedy, the ice show, and the aqua theater are all in your fare. Reserved or premium seating is the upsell, and on most nights, the free seats are perfectly good. The exception is a handful of headline shows on the very biggest ships, where reserving genuinely helps. I watched a couple buy premium seats for a production show on a half-full theater night. The pair behind them walked in 15 minutes early and sat in the same row. They'd paid for a row that was open to anyone who turned up early. Your defense: reserve free showtimes through the app where your line offers it. Arrive 15 to 20 minutes early instead of paying for premium seating. Save the paid tier for headline shows on the largest ships only. Magic phrase: is there a complimentary reservation for tonight's show? Shows are the loud part of the ship. Tip number 14. The quiet rooms nobody finds. This is the one I'd hand to anyone who finds a busy ship tiring. Every ship has an observation lounge, a library, a card room, or a forward-facing space that stays near empty by day. They're included, there's no upsell attached, and they usually hold the best sea views on the vessel. Guests who want quiet tend to pay for a balcony upgrade or an adults-only pass to escape the crowd instead. A woman I remember spent her mornings in a forward observation lounge with a book and an ocean the width of the window. Her friends paid for the adults-only deck to get the same piece in a smaller space. The lounge on deck 11 had been free the entire time. Your defense? Walk the ship on embarkation day and find the forward lounges and the library. Go mid-morning and mid-afternoon. That's when they're emptiest. Check the daily program. Some run free talks, tastings, and craft sessions. Magic phrase: where's the observation lounge and is it open to all guests? Which brings us back to the one I mentioned at the start. Tip number 15, the last morning bill nobody reads. This is the tip that recovers the money the other 14 cost you. Your onboard account is itemized and available all week. On the app, on the cabin television, printed at guest services on request. Almost nobody looks at it until the statement slides under the door on the final morning. By then, the queue is long, the ship is disembarking, and the desk has very little room to move. Checked on day 3 instead, a wrong charge is a 2-minute conversation with somebody who has time to fix it. I watched a couple find a duplicate charge on the last morning in a queue 40 people deep an hour before their transfer. Another guest reviewed hers on the cabin television every few days. She caught her mistaken minibar line on a Tuesday when the desk still had time. Your defense? Check your onboard account on the app or cabin television every 2 or 3 days. Query anything you don't recognize immediately, not on the last morning. Keep the final printed statement until your card settles at home. Magic phrase: could I have a printed copy of my onboard account so far? Almost none of this is hidden exactly. It's just never handed to you in one place, so it stays invisible until somebody points at it. Take 3 from this list, not 15. The 3 that fit how you actually cruise, and you'll feel the difference on the final statement. If you want the other side of this, the services the lines have to give you when you ask, that one's on your screen right now. See you on the next one.